Okay. Okay. We start with figuring out what is helpful for you physically, mentally, emotionally, and work really hard on being good at it. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life. Soul food on Smooth 98.1. Ah, we go live. Feed your mind and the rest will follow. Well, today we're about to feed your body and also to tell you that what you feed your body is very important, which is the obvious. It's a no-brainer. There are times you want to nourish your body and you end up doing something else and it causes a distress to you. And you keep going to the toilet or maybe end up in the hospital. So we want to help you prevent that. That's why we are talking about the topic of food poisoning. You're welcome to join us right here on Soul Food on Smooth 98.1, where we love music, we love life, and going by what we want to discuss, it means we love you. Thank you for choosing us and thank you for listening. By the way, if you're in your car and you're worried that you will miss out on things when you step out of the car, two options. Number one, we've got the YouTube recording for you. And if you want to listen in real time, you can go to our website and stream live, www.smooth91.fm. Again, www.smooth91.fm. Or you can easily search for us across all radio streaming apps and websites. Just be on the lookout for the Love Music, Love Life tag, and that is us right there. Thank you. And let's go on the journey. So again, food poisoning, the causes and prevention. And I will not be doing this talking alone. I am already joined by my special guest, who I am very thankful to have her presence and company this morning. She's joining me via Zoom on short notice. So thank you so much, Dr. Ket. She is a lifestyle medicine practitioner and family physician. And this is not her first time. This is her second time. And I guess the second of many more times to come.
Okay.
She is Dr. Nkechi Iwuala. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheila. I'm happy to be here. I mean, it's you now, so anytime you call.
Thank you. All right, then quickly into the topic. Let's get started on exactly the definition of food poisoning. What exactly is food poisoning? So that somebody does not hear it and think maybe when they put poison in my food.
My food, yes. I mean, that's the common thing, right? So somebody eats a food and then just suddenly slumps and dies. Yeah, so food poisoning, what it commonly means is that it's an illness that is gotten, from eating contaminated food or drinking contaminated drinks. Food or drink that has been contaminated by germs or toxins, and then you get sick after eating it. I mean, that's just basically what food poisoning is.
Okay, so is it any different from the foodborne illness or foodborne infection? Because I think back then, if I should refer to my knowledge of dietetics, which I'm sure the dietetics association should come from my head. Well, then I think there was a difference between food poisoning and food infection, something about the organism, maybe the bacteria being in there at the time of consumption, or maybe another organism releasing the toxin into it. So the difference between...
I mean,
all right.
Food poisoning, we can say food poisoning is a part of foodborne illness. There are several foodborne illnesses, right? So I mean, so for food poisoning, there's a toxin, like you rightly said, maybe from the bacteria. A lot of times you eat food that's been contaminated, but you just stool and there's really no big deal, right? But then when you now start having those very terrible symptoms, it just shows that possibly a toxin has been released. So toxin is something like a chemical substance that is harmful to the body, and it's now causing several things when you eat it.
Okay.
So that's what.
Now, in my mind, and maybe somebody else's mind, they're thinking, why should a toxin still be inside the food when I have cooked the food? Maybe I have used heat on it. So why do you have that toxin still there? Or is it as a result of the preservation methods?
Yeah, I mean, there are several. Thank you so much. That's a very wonderful question. So there are several things that can cause it, right? So, like before we even go on to the cooking, the preparation stage. some of us who don't wash our food, our vegetables. I mean, we see videos of some of these people selling vegetables. They use urine, they use all manner of all kinds of water. They use all kinds of water to wash them. And then we just put in the water, take out, and then, and especially if it is salad now, and then we just wash it. We don't cook salads, right? So just wash it and then we eat. And then sometimes we don't cook our meats properly. So our meats don't get done well. And then sometimes after cooking the food, the handling now, maybe it is left uncovered, and then flies and several things are fetched on it. And then even our hand, the person serving the food. So you see that is a whole lot of process from the market to the preparation stage to the person serving the food to even the material used to serve the food. So there are just several things, and then up until it gets to, up until we get to eat it. So there are several stages that these organisms can be introduced to the food. So not just I cook the food and then that's it. No. Sometimes it is improper undercooked meal, and that's another major cause of food poisoning.
Okay, so I'm trying to imagine those who probably like their food not too done, if you know what I mean. For instance, there are the ones who like their steak. How do they call it again? I've forgotten the specific. Yeah, there's a where you still almost see the blood dripping, and I'm wondering how are you? Yeah, and those who eat sushi. No, I don't like sushi. Well, this is keep quiet. This is not about me, but there are some foods that are eaten raw, and the first thing that actually comes to my mind is there is a chance that you would have a microorganism in there that is still breathing, still kicking, dancing, and you have ingested not just the toxin but also the microorganism with it.
So true. And then you even stand a chance of infecting other people depending on what kind of organism. So yeah, is a major cause of that. So eating raw food, so we don't encourage that, right? Cook your meals properly.
But how do you maintain
that would eliminate that stage?
All right. How do you maintain the balance between cooking your foods properly and damaging the nutrients in the foods, or maybe retaining the taste of the food? For instance, you can't cook salad. So how are you supposed to deal with the possible microorganisms in salad or keeping it well?
So, I mean, it's simple. Wash the vegetables properly, like thoroughly, more than once. So you wash the first one, you can soak it for a while. I mean, maybe cold water. I mean, you are the dietetics, right? You are the dietitian. So you soak it properly. Yeah, they're going to come for you. So you soak it properly in cold water. In fact, before soaking, by the time you move, you see sand, that's settled. Sand have settled into the water. So you wash that. Make sure you open the vegetables very well. Sometimes they're usually folded. So wash all those, crevices, all those parts that are folded as much as possible. And then you slice your knife, your chopping board. So it is very important that you have an exclusive chopping board for vegetables. Because if you use the same chopping board for meat and then use that same chopping board for vegetables, there can be cross-contamination. So it's very, very important. Yeah. So proper washing. And then you preparing the meal, hand washing, the container used for preserving the food, the container used for preserving it in the fridge, as much as possible. Unfortunately, we don't have stable power supply. So a lot of times our fridges just go, different temperature, up and then down, up and down. Those things are not also, they don't also help our food. But I mean, what can we do? We're in Nigeria. So we'll do what we can do, right?
Okay, thank you. We'll take a short break, the first break. And when we come back, we actually can take your calls. We can take your calls and your messages. You can send messages to 0809-444-0981, or you can call 01-448-9981 after the break. We have been talking about food poisoning and trying to identify the possible reasons why you might have your food poisoning, not by another human, by a microorganism that is present in your food or has released a toxin in your food. We'll be right back. I have hung my certificates for dietetics.
There was a time I posted your picture. Are we still online? You're still online?
We're on YouTube.
Okay. The time I posted your picture, a friend of mine reached out to me. She even said I should.
Oh yeah, you my classmates.
Yeah, so that you say hello to me. I'm not sure if you missed that. When she saw the flyer, so that she said hello to you. Yeah, okay. I don't
Yeah,
catch
I
you.
just couldn't go through with clinical practice. I don't see myself in a hospital. That's not me at
Yeah,
all. I would rather do
that
the
was,
health education and the
yeah.
prevention rather than I tried it once during my NYC. I was almost depressed.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not
it's not
me.
speaker practice is not easy, really. I mean, but what can we need some people there. So I try to do both, right? So go clinical practice. Because from what I see, and I'm like, okay, this shouldn't get here, this shouldn't get to this stage. You shouldn't suffer like this.
Right.
Then and I'll take the prevention
All
part
right.
serious.
We're back.
Okay.
Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. You're listening to Soul Food, and we are talking about food poisoning. You can call 01-448-9981. Again, 01-448-9981. Now, that is for you to ask your questions or maybe to make a contribution if you have any. You can also send your WhatsApp messages to 0809-444-0981. We have defined what food poisoning is and some possible causes of food poisoning from how you prepare your food to how you store it and every other thing, how you cook it. It's very important. And my guest this morning is a family physician and also a lifestyle medicine practitioner. She is Dr. Nkechi. Now, talking about the symptoms, let's talk about the symptoms of food poisoning. How do you know I have eaten what I shouldn't have eaten?
I mean, I wouldn't want to say the good thing. The thing about food poisoning, like it does not delay, you get it almost immediately, and then you get to see it, start stooling. I mean, that's one common chief of those symptoms. You start stooling like frequently, and then there's also crampy tummy pain. So your tummy aches you, and then you go to poop. And sometimes that these two might contain blood or mucus. Then you already know that okay, no, it has really because we want to call that like an invasion into the mucosa. So like the lining of the gut has been, has been penetrated, and those are the things that now release the blood and the mucus. So sometimes you get that. Sometimes you may not have mucus or stool in the mucus or blood in the stool. And then tummy pain, and then of course vomiting. So that time you eat food and then you're vomiting your stool, you're vomiting your stool. Okay. So that you already know that. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, what did I eat? Where did I get this food from? Where did I buy this particular food? We start asking ourselves those questions. And then may have fever, not commonly, but some people have developed fever. And then, of course, because of the vomiting and stooling, now start having symptoms of signs and symptoms of dehydration, right? So your mouth get dry, you feel tired, you get weak, you're almost fainting. So, I mean, it's a whole lot. And then it's not something that is hidden. You see that when you have food poisoning. And you call it, at the purge, at the purge. that's the that's the symptom. Those are the symptoms.
So typically when you have the symptoms, how do they resolve? Do you necessarily have to take a drug or it will resolve on its own as long as that thing is eliminated or you don't keep eating the food?
Yeah, well, that's another very important question. So a lot of times, there's some we call self-limiting. So again, it depends on the organism, right? If for example, it's caused by a bacteria, the person might need antibiotics, might need, because sometimes the body can clear the infection. That's the organism. The body also has the immunity that can, help clear that. Then if it's a viral, if it's caused by viruses, usually it's self-limiting. So what you do then is to replace fluids, replace the salt, because we are not just stooling. The stool is not just plain water. There are other salts that we call electrolytes in there. And then if there's blood or mucus, then you might want to take antibiotics. So again, it depends on the severity of the symptoms, depends on the kind of organism, And again, you might not really know unless you go to the lab, check. But I think that the results come out in like maybe 3 or 4 days. Who wants to wait for that, right? So depending on the severity of the symptoms, then you know what to do. But what you do across board is to replace fluids and electrolytes.
Okay, still on that, there's another question. So It has been said by some that once you get such an infection and your body is trying to eliminate whatever toxin or whatever it is that caused that thing, that you're not supposed to take a drug that stops you from going to the toilet. Instead, let your body expel it. Is that true?
Eliminate it. Line is breaking.
Yeah, I can hear
I didn't
you.
quite get that.
Okay, so I will take
Can
that
you hear me
question
now?
again. Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you clearly. So I said, some have said once you have such an infection or once you have experienced the symptoms of food poisoning and you're constantly going to the restroom to expel whatever it is that is in your body, that you shouldn't take a drug that stops you from going to the toilet. You know, there are people who take over-the-counter drugs so that they don't keep going to the restroom because they don't want to feel weak or lose bodily fluids, as the case may be. Or maybe they have an event. Imagine somebody getting married and you are having symptoms of food poisoning. You don't want to keep going to the toilet. So, but it has been said you have to allow the body expel it and don't take a drug that stops you from going to the toilet. Is that advisable?
But that's a very good question. So the thing is, when we stool, right, a lot of times these organisms might not even be in the stool themselves. So they might have entered into the bloodstream or into the mucosa of the gut, like I said. So the major thing in the poo is fluids, electrolytes, and then sometimes, in fact, a lot of times nothing is coming out. You just have cramping pain and then we go just do one small thing and then come out. So taking antibiotics does not quite, it's not like it prevents the organism or the toxin from going. It's rather, the idea is for you to kill it. Because there are different types of antibiotics, right? So it's for you to kill it and stop ongoing infection on the process from progressing. So that's what the antibiotics does. If you need antibiotics, so again, it's not all of it that antibiotics. It's not all the organisms, like I said earlier, that require antibiotics, and there's not all. There's a group of drugs called antimotility. So those ones is to reduce the number of times somebody goes to toilet, and then there's even there's a limit to that particular drug in a day. And then the over-the-counter drug, unfortunately, what people do is they use a dose or two and then they stop. They don't complete that antibiotics. And then there is resistance later on. We know it now. And then we just use one dose or two and then the pool stops and then that's it. And then subsequently, it might not work for us. So just
now this
very
one,
good.
I want you to please stay on this point. We will never get tired of emphasizing it because the problem is increasing, and we have been seeing some comments online and in publication about the increase of antibiotic resistance. So I need you to please sound this note of warning that if you are stooling or experiencing symptoms or food poisoning and you have been given the antibiotics by the doctor or by the pharmacist, wherever you got the drugs from, and they told you this is going to help you based on the symptoms you're exhibiting, you don't stop it based on, I am fine now. Please, I need your voice to amplify this.
Yes, I can use microphone on this one. So please, especially for infective conditions, anti-malaria, antibiotics, those two majorly, you don't stop while the symptoms are resolved. For anti-malaria, some are 2 days, some are 3 days. You complete the dose. And then for the antibiotics, 5 days, 7 days, you complete the dose. I say 3 times daily, 2 times daily, once a week, you complete the dose. What happens is if you do not complete it, the organisms might just still be there. And then they might develop another stronger armor, right? Which, of course, we are still living in Nigeria, we are still alive. So who says we might not have that particular infection later on? And then when you now go to buy that one, it may not work. And that's what happens. And then go for a higher one, and they go for a higher one. And then now they're even saying that there's almost no, like, they have run out of new medications. So what they are doing is just tweaking the existing ones. So please, when you start your medications, please complete those. Don't stop after. What happens is truly after like a dose or two, it stops. And then 4 days, don't use it anymore. A lot of drugs are not working. And sadly, these are the cheaper drugs. A lot of people cannot even afford the ones that are higher. That's the sad thing. So please let's complete our medication, let's complete our doses. If you don't want to start, don't start. But if you started, please complete it.
Thank you very much. We're taking your messages on 0809 444 0981. From WhatsApp, we've got Austin from Satellite who says, is it good to wash vegetables and fruits with salt or vinegar? Which one is better?
Okay, well, some people have said salt, some people have said vinegar. So the question is why? Why are you using salt or vinegar? Is it to kill the organisms? Is it to maintain the color of the vegetables? Is it to make it not to be stripped of the nutrients? So I commonly say water. Clean water is fine. But if you want to do salt, you need to wash the salt very, very well. So I don't consume extra salt that will not lead to having hypertension later on, right? So I mean, whatever works, but I recommend water. Just keep it simple. Let's not do high quality stuff. Clean water is fine. Copious water.
Okay. All right then. Thank you. You can call 014489981. Ima from Ijegun says, hello, I ate cooked granite and beans every morning for 3 days. Every morning, anytime I woke up, I had no energy. I got admitted into the hospital and was given drip. Please, how can this be averted or what caused it? Now, before you answer that question, let me quickly take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning, Gary Newton.
Yes, please.
Good morning. Go ahead.
All right. So I want to thank our guest, please. Yeah, she's really doing well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to appreciate her for all she has passed on. And just to the last question before, the person talking about fruits, like as she said, clean water. And we should be specific of the type of clean water, especially running water. I think that is very good. Because using stagnant water, those things will just remain there and it goes over back on it when you pick it up. But running water will help to flush anything on the surface. Now, yes, I want how to throw or talk about the use of antibiotics, because I've noticed that a lot of people are so addicted to antibiotics. And little do they know that the more you take antibiotics, the more resistant anything you are trying to fight becomes to the antibiotics that you take.
Yeah, she talked about it.
Yeah, so I want her to throw more light on that. Then there's something else I want to bring up. Talking about, she explained how we get food poisoning, talking about uncooked foods, sometimes food are properly cooked. But there's something else I've also noticed, the combination of seasonings that we use will also affect a lot of persons.
All right, then.
Yes, because when you go to the market, you don't even know what that seasoning contains. You just pick it up, I want to buy seasoning for this, buy this, and you combine a lot of them together, not knowing that most of this chemical composition of this different seasoning might have my result to a different compound entirely, which will affect you. Then I've also noticed that individual immune system is part of food poisoning.
Yeah.
In the sense that I've noticed that most of my friends, we go to a restaurant sometimes, they pick up some things there, we both eat the same thing. I will suffer from food poisoning, but they will not. So can you explain why is it so? Because I know that, yes, the immune system differs, but I just don't understand why is it that I am the one that is prone to that and they never get it.
Maybe you should stop eating with your friends. Just kidding. Yeah, we will address that. Thank you. All right. You had all of that, Dr. Ketch. Quickly address it.
Okay, so let me just start from the last one. So we all have different body composition, immune system, allergy. Allergy might also be one of it. You don't know what is in that particular food that maybe you're allergic to. So like Shewa said, that maybe stop eating with your friends, or you avoid that particular restaurant, or there's something with a particular food or in that food that does not sit well with your system. So that you would, I would want to say you now want to go and ask them what they are putting inside, that maybe your body isn't like accepting, isn't tolerating. Because I mean, if you just you and the other people are not being poisoned, then it might just be your system. Because usually what happens in food poisoning, the organism, the toxins are there. So usually they affect, like it's like you see the whole family. If it's a family, you see the whole family. If it's like a restaurant that it happens from, you see like there'll be an outbreak, and that's how outbreak comes about. So you may want to either avoid that particular food or restaurant, or you want to find out what they use for making the food that your system is not tolerating. And then, yes, you rightly mentioned immune system. For example, people who have HIV, I mean, chronic diarrhea is one of the things that they suffer from. So immunity is also key for them. Your comment on running water is fantastic, because sometimes you keep stagnant water, some things have entered it, and then the bowls that we even used to scoop this water, some of them are even dirty. So yeah, that's a very wonderful comment. And then what does it talk about?
Antibiotic resistance.
I already
you already
that.
addressed it.
Yeah, if you start, please complete it. Somebody said something about beans. Is it the one or somebody else?
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go back to that, but just a quick addition on the antibiotic resistance. So there's a part where people don't start or don't complete their dosage, and there is a part where they use it indiscriminately. That also is important. For some, it's like antibiotics has turned to candy that they easily pop.
Like, it's sad. It's sad. I have headache, antibiotics. I'm still, in fact, some people, they use like prophylactic antibiotics. So I know somebody who goes to a restaurant with amoxicillin inside his pockets. Because as soon as he finishes the food, he pops in one. Why?
The worst part is some even tell you that they're trying to prevent an infection by taking. So please, Nigerians.
We just, because we easily get them, so no regulation. We just working out, no prescription. I think a lot of the PAN has a lot of work. Regulatory bodies have a lot of work.
Thank you. I had to say Nigerians because in some other countries you don't get antibiotics over the counter. You need a prescription form. Yes. Yeah. All right. So going back to that question from Ima from Ijegun, he said he ate cooked granite and beans every morning for 3 days. Interesting. And every morning he woke up, he had no energy. He got admitted into the hospital and was given drip. How can this be averted, or what caused it?
Okay. So the question I would like to ask is, are you the only one that ate that? Not last time. Was it last time I came? I talked about beans. Some people feel bloated when they eat beans. Some get crampy pain. They have all sorts. Some people do not tolerate beans, and that's because beans has a lot of there's a substance called raffinol in beans that it is water soluble, and it's best. That's why it is best to, first of all, soak the beans. Throw away the water and then now cook it. It helps to reduce those dyspeptic symptoms. So I want to now ask, is it the beans? Is it the first time it is happening? Has this happened before? Right. So those are some of the things that you want to share. Is it only beans you ate? Can that be something else? And then granules. Can that be something else? What time did you sleep? Did you sleep around 5? Did you sleep around 2 a.m. and you wake up around 5? You not really sleep. What time did you eat before sleeping? Did you eat at 8 o'clock and then you go to sleep at 8:30? You wake up feeling weak and tired, regardless of what you eat. Right? So the timing of the interval between your dinner and sleep matters. Is it the first time it is happening? Did this happen to some other people? So those are some of the things that we would want to, check and then maybe make slight adjustments to.
Thank you. I'll leave from Olodia Papa says, thank you very much for this enlightenment or eye-opening to our tradition and culture. Some of our people have been killed by this belief and some are still dying from it. It is unfortunate and it is regrettable. I am a volunteer from Olodia Papa. Well, hopefully people get more education on the possible causes of food poisoning. Now, I thought we were going to have the time to touch on street food, but we don't. But we'll just take a little bit maybe 2 minutes or so, just for you to touch on street foods and how that is a possible cause of food poisoning.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Growing up, those are some of the things that we ate a lot of time. We are going to school, we are going to work, just grab something and eat. So one thing we have to take note of is when you are buying this street food, either cooked foods or snack or whatever it is. I know that we have said we don't even want snack, but whatever it is, are they covered? Right? Sometimes these things are not covered. Sometimes the people who serve it use their hands to serve. And then those hands, you don't know where it has been. Some would have scratched their head, they put their hand. They've done this, they put their hand. They've done, you don't know what they're carrying in their body. And then sadly, some of these people, they don't even do some. Usually we expect food handlers to go through some tests before cooking food. So some have had hepatitis A and they've infected others. They do not know. So food from the handlers, the preparation itself, even when you go, you see the tray, you see the maybe newspaper or the spoon that they use for serving. So there are a whole lot of factors that can cause food poisoning from street food. So covered food, I know some of us, especially in Lagos, we cannot really help it, right? You see somebody roasted yam and roasted plantain, bolly, and all of that. And then you see the hands of that person. You just see the plantain, and you see that they've stuck to the hands. I mean, we see some of these things, right? But we're like, it doesn't matter until that one day when you eat, like. So yeah, I mean, we know these things. So if there's any food handler or whoever is going to watch this, please try as much as possible to prepare your food properly. Please cover your food. I know it's easier said than done, but wash your hands before serving your customers. It's very, very important. Don't go sneezing or coughing or into the food. And then what else? The platter or container used for serving the food also matters, right? I mean, let's just be watchful. Let's be vigilant. Okay.
As you were talking, the image that came to my mind is that of those amala making women with their sweats and their wrapper with sprinkles of anger and aggression. Oh my.
Oh Lord. But we just something must kill a man. Oh, let me just sit down, be fine.
Oh my. Please be careful out there. We know sometimes you are tempted or not tempted now because of your schedule. Yeah, there are times that your schedule does not allow you to sit at home and prepare, but there is always a way around it. And aside that, just be mindful where you go to consume those foods. If it is inevitable for you, be careful, please. And that's all we can take for today, this 1st of July 2023 on Soul Food. Thank you, Dr. Ketch, for your time as always.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure to be here. Happy New Month.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a lovely July and enjoy the rest of it. And again, your handle for people to keep up with you on social media.
Okay, I am Dr. Ketch on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn, Nkechi Iwuala. So I am DRKECH. I am Dr. Ketch.
All right. Thank you very much. Do enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of it, for your calls, your messages, and every other thing that made the show a success. We appreciate you. But we'll take a short break now. And when we come back, it will be about the children on Curious Minds from 8:40 right here on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. And the rest will follow. You start with figuring out what is helpful.